Hello, welcome to this session, and this presentation is on the topic pattern. The contents here I am going to explain in this session is selection of pattern materials. So on what basis we are selecting the pattern material? So we discuss in detail in this session. The following factors assist in selecting proper pattern material. So let us discuss one by one factor which gives in detail explanation in the selection of pattern materials. So number of castings to be produced. So the factor, one of the factor, number of castings to be produced. In selecting a proper pattern material, we have to see what number of castings will be produced, whether it is 100, 1000 or lakhs together, 10 lakhs together of products. How many number of products which are producing on that basis we have to select the correct pattern material. So number of castings, if it is less number of castings will be produced, so what type of pattern material will be selected? If more number of products are produced, then what is the pattern material which should be selected? Based on number of castings, what type of pattern material we should select? This is the factor which should be considered. So on number of castings, what number of castings we are producing? So whether it may be small number of castings to be produced or very large number of castings to be produced. For large number of castings to be produced, metal patterns are selected. For small number of castings to be produced, wooden patterns are preferred. So metal to be cast. So what type of metal has to be casted? Casting gali yav metal now cast martadivi. So what type of metal it is? Which type of metal it is? We have to see, we have to check which type of metal it is. Whether it is aluminium, whether it is a iron, whether it is a steel, whether it may be any of the non-ferrous metals, but any of the ferrous metals. Depend upon the metal to be cast, depend upon that we have to select the correct proper pattern materials. Next is dimensional accuracy and surface finish. So in what factor you need, whether whether the customer needs good dimensional accuracy, whether the customer needs very good surface finish, or whether in case if customer doesn't need any good dimensional accuracy, anyhow we need some castings, that in that manner, or rough finishing is enough for us. Depend upon the customer requirement, we are selecting the proper pattern material. And also if the customer is having good expectations on the dimensional accuracy and surface finish, then the quality of the product will be high. Then when the quality of the product is high, then the pattern material should be selected of high. So for accurate castings, for accurate dimensional accuracy and good surface, very fine finishing, very fine surface finish, when you need it, go for wax patterns. So when you choose wax patterns, wax as a pattern material, you will achieve a good dimensional accuracy in the castings along with the good surface finish. Shape, complexity and size of the casting. So this shape, complexity and size of the metal casting the shape, complexity ಅಂದ್ರೆ simple ಆಗಿದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆನಾ, very intricate shape ಇದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲ complicated ಇದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲ very simple ಇದೆನಾ, shapes, designs, ಇಲ್ಲ size of the casting ತುಂಬಾ large ಇದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲ small ಇದೆನಾ. So depend upon that also we are selecting the proper pattern material. It may be wood, it may be metal, it may be plastic, plaster or wax. So factors should be selected. On the base of the factor itself, we have to select the proper pattern material. So one of that is shape, complexity and size of the casting. Whether it may be small shapes or small size of the casting, whether it will be big shape or big size of the casting, whether it is simple or complicated or intricate shapes. So depend upon all these criteria, we have to select the good pattern material. Next, casting design parameters. Casting design parameters like fluid life. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಲ್ಟನ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಪೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೋಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮೋಲ್ಟನ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ ನ ಪೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಅದು ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲಿಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ ಇಂದ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ಈಸಿ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್. It gets temperature lowered. When the temperature, higher temperature goes on converting to lower temperature, that turns to solid. Liquid metal turns to solid. So casting design parameters alli ಒಂದು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು fluid life. So fluid life ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅದು fluidity maintain ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು casting ಇದು ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, type of molding materials. Molding materials are molding sand na mix ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ what are the ingredients you are going to add to prepare the molding sand? Okay, so type of molding materials andre what are those ingredients, which are those ingredients you are adding in the molding preparation? So obviously you will take a silica sand along with that clay and moisture. So along with these any other extra additives if are added, so depend upon that also you are selecting the proper pattern material. So obviously these three terms will be included: silica sand, clay, along with that moisture content, water content. So in these, along with this, any other extra material, any extra ingredient is added, or additives which are leaving these three and additives which are added. So depend upon that also you are going to select the proper pattern material. Next is nature of molding process. So what is the nature of molding process? So the person who is working with the molding in the foundry man we call it as. So a foundry man en martane, so he can choose any of the molding process. He can choose sand casting process, he can choose any other plaster molding or sodium silicate molding or investment castings. So these are the molding process. The foundry man can choose any one of these. So is depend upon these categories like sand castings, investment castings, plaster mold castings, sodium silicate mold castings. So depend upon all these molding process also, the pattern is selected, the pattern material is selected. So what type of molding process the foundry man is doing, is performing, so depend upon that condition, depend upon that criteria, the proper material should be proper pattern material should be selected. Next, method of molding. The foundry man, what he is doing, the molding method, which type of molding method he can choose? He can choose either hand molding or machine molding. So in case of hand molding, what type of pattern materials is selected? And also in case of machine molding, what type of pattern material should be selected? Depend upon that criteria, we have to select the proper pattern material. If he is going for hand molding, metal patterns are selected. If he is going for machine molding, also metal patterns are selected. In case of wooden patterns will not engage for the severe shocks. So they will not choose a wooden patterns for machine molding. Why? Because method of molding is very important in case of wooden patterns. Why? Because these wooden patterns are weak compared to metal. So metal patterns can sustain the can withstand the high pressures which are induced by the machines, but cannot withstand by the wood. So wooden patterns are choosable for hand molding methods, and widely used machine molding process were metal. And this is one of the video you can see in this sand casting, how the sand casting is done, on what process it is done. So see please. So first they are taken a flask